Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay and welcome to my bins, which I believe. Now, I need to put my bin out later, but I've got my three best shoes on the back there. So what we're going to do today is my Tuesday session, which is going to be 3x2 miles, targeting about 6:30 pace, and I've got a 2-minute rest, so I thought it was a good opportunity to actually try out these three shoes, which are the Alphaflys, the Adios Pros and the Vaporfly Next Percents, to see which ones I prefer. Now, I've used these shoes in tests before, but it'd be good to see how I now feel now I'm sort of back to sort of reasonable fitness again. So I'm going to do a little warm up first. I think I'm going to use the Invincibles for them, and then I'll get into the Alphaflys, the Adios Pros and the Next Percents. So have a quick look at the shoes. So here we are, the Alphaflys have got UK 13 in those. The Adios Pros is a UK 12.5, that's the biggest they do. Probably could do with a bit bigger, but I'll have to do. And this is a pair of my Next Percents. I've done about 50 or 60 miles in these. Okay, off for a little warm up and we'll see you shortly. Okay, strides and some high knee raises in the Invincible. Somebody said today on a forum they're a do-it-all shoe. Well, maybe do it all before I actually start running fast, so everything but actually. But anyway, let's get into the proper shoes for running fast in. I'll start with the Alphafly. Okay, Alphafly's at the ready. We've got the Next Percents waiting and the Adios Pros as well. Okay, right, so we're ready to go on the Alphaflys, and it's a 6:30 target pace for about 2 miles. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, Alphafly's done. I think it was more or less exactly 6:30 pace. Felt very bouncy. I felt I was going a bit faster than I actually was So now I've got the Adios Pros on here. Right, let's get on with this next one then. Okay, Adios Pros done. They definitely feel firm. I think I was trying a bit harder there. I might have been faster, but we'll see the Next Percent. Next Percent my favourite, so will they be the fastest on the nice tired legs? Let's see in the next 13 minutes, I think. Okay, Next Percent's on. Okay, all done. I think I was really working quite hard in that last one, actually, about 6:15 pace. I think it was quite similar to the Adios Pro. I have to wait to get the stats up to see what was quickest. Certainly the Alphafly was the slowest. I was just taking it a bit easier, because I ended up doing that session a bit faster than perhaps I should have been supposed to. Like 6:15 pace and 6:30, but it would be too fast and too slow, I suppose. But yeah, that felt quite tough. About 2.5 minutes rest I got in the end. Definitely in the order of shoes, Alphafly the most bouncy, Adios Pro the most firm, but they're still quite soft, and the Next Percent sort of in the middle. They do feel the lightest on foot, the Next Percent, because the other two are about 300 grams, so Next Percent in my size comes down to about 250 grams, so about 50 grams saving over the other two. So I think that certainly helps when you're going about, I guess, 10k speed there. That was a 10k with a bit of a rest in the middle on a sort of slightly undulating circuit around Claygaters. Sort of dips in the middle down past the shops, and it sort of drugs back up for the next mile to finish off. But yeah, better do a little warm down now and go and have a look at the stats and see what we think. Hello everybody, I'm back from my runs now, and I've had time to put my spreadsheet together, and I haven't done a spreadsheet for a while, so I hope you haven't been missing them, but here we are. So just a quick reminder of what I did my regular 2-mile circular loop from my house, which was actually 2.11 miles I measured it to be. So I was meant to be doing a session of 3x2 miles with 2-minute recovery, so this was near enough. Ended up having 2.5-minute recovery by the time I changed my shoes. So I started off in the Alphafly, went into the Adios Pro, and then into the Next Percent. Now I think actually on this Shoeoff I didn't really do the times that comparatively well. I think I tried to hit this session as well as I could, and I actually was quite pleased with the session, because 13:38 there in the Alphafly at a pace of 6:26 was actually inside the pace I needed to be. And I actually felt like I was going a bit faster. When I put the Adios Pro on, they instantly feel a bit firmer, but they sort of feel lighter in a way. Maybe they're just less clumpy. They are actually the same weight, so it was interesting that they sort of felt a bit faster. And I've also felt that the Alphafly was perhaps faster than the Adios Pro, but maybe I need to change my mind. Anyway, so I went all right in that one, 13:20. The heart rate got a lot higher, but don't forget I'd had rather short rest here, and most of that was busy changing my shoes, not resting as such. So pleased to get that average pace to 6:19. Then in the Next Percent, I'm not sure I went absolutely flat out, but it wasn't far off, and got to a maximum heart rate of 149. So I went 10 seconds quicker in the Next Percent over the Adios Pro. Now, does that mean the Next Percent is faster on this test? Well, it's a bit of a tricky one, because obviously I was tired from the two previous runs, But my heart rate, not surprisingly, went up slightly. So I'd probably say marginally give this one to the next percent over the Adios Pro here. But it wasn't the best of tests, because I didn't deliberately set out to run these 2 runs identical pace. And I think the Alphafly was almost just testing the water. So I wouldn't really say that the Alphafly was as slower than the other 2. Just the fact I was hitting them at a slightly different effort level. Now, it's interesting compared to a Shoeoff I did on the 4th of June 2020. This was pretty much the first few runs I've done in the Alphafly. So I was wanting to give them a good test. So I started off doing 2 runs at what I'd call sort of more threshold pace, which turned out to be slightly slower than I managed to do today for the Adios Pro and the next percent. And then I sort of went a lot harder. And that was sort of more like 6-minute miling. So clearly I was a bit fitter in June, although I did have much longer rests when these ones. I was having 6 minutes and 8-minute rests. I think I was yapping away to the GoPro for a lot longer on those ones. So in a way, you think with the longer rests, you'd expect to see a faster speed anyway. And on that particular occasion, the next percent in the Alphafly wasn't really much in it, to be honest. Brief look at the other stats. One thing is interesting to me, post my calf tear in September, I still seem to be leaning over to the left a lot there. Look, 54% to the left, whereas last summer it was much more even. So I need to look at that. When I can get to my physio again in a few weeks' time out of lockdown, hopefully I can look at that and sort that out. Not really in any pain, but clearly there's a bit of an imbalance there I need to sort out. In terms of the vertical oscillation, well, the Alphafly, because I was going a bit slower, I definitely feel like I was bouncing more on the Alphafly, and the cadence was a lot lower as well. Maybe it just does reflect it was a slightly lower tempo. Although the VO in June was much more similar, I thought there. So perhaps it wasn't the best of tests today in terms of determining which is the fastest shoe, although I think it still confirms to me that my favourite is the next percent, and certainly the times here aren't arguing against it. And the Adios Pro continues to do a lot better than I think. I still don't really like running in it. I think it's just because it's a bit of a firm feeling. I just prefer the slightly softer feeling the next percent. Although the Alphafly, it is a bit clumping. It doesn't really fit me that well because it's a bit of a wide shoe, bizarrely. Although it's very hard to get on. Once you've got it on, it actually is quite wide. So in terms of the lockdown, I think the lockdown on the Adios Pro and the next percent are a lot better for me. But the Alphafly perhaps is more of a long-range cruiser. And also, to give a proper test with these ones, you'd really need to shuffle the order. Maybe, as I did previously, put the Alphafly last. And then in that particular test, there wasn't really much in it between the next percent and the Alphafly. And it really then comes down to which one you actually prefer, which has always been the next percent for me. And I did actually feel, I think as I mentioned in the video, that it is 50 grams lighter for me in my UK 13. And that is quite noticeable, even in a 2-mile effort, and perhaps even more noticeable when the races go up quite long lengths. So another good session banked. I've got a couple of easy days now, Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday I've got some more fun. I think I've got some 5k pace mixed in with a sort of a tempo to top and tail it. So that's going to be another interesting one. I'm still working on the threshold paces mainly at the moment, not really trying to crack these sort of out and out VO2 max efforts yet, but you can see that my fitness is recovering. Still a way to go to what I was last June, but it's fast getting there. And I think when you consider the fact that I had long recoveries on these ones, then perhaps the difference between today and then is even less. So anyway, I hope you found this interesting, and like and subscribe and all that, and look forward to seeing the next one then. Bye.